It depends on where the conversation leads us today.
I know. We don't know what kind of crazy things we're going to get into.
We don't.
I know at least some things, but, who knows where those things will take us. I think I know sometimes, but then, we just end up in places and then we're there.
And then we tangent.
And then it's popcorn cannon. Ooh, popcorn cannon. That sounds like a fun idea. It's like it's already happening.
What is popcorn cannon? Like the existing...
Like part of the canon of popcorn culture.
There is such a thing?
Yeah. I mean, everything we talk about becomes canon to the show, right?
True. It's real life canon.
Exactly. It's real life canon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
That's me, the co-hostess with the co-mostest. Ready to do some popcasting with you here today.
You're really taking the lengths as to which you can to I'm nearly the limit.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know that anybody else has tried to as many things as you.
I've been trying to things.
Yeah. You're like the most coiest of there ever was. If there was a Wikipedia page for the prefix co, it would just list Jonathan Carlin. You know what? Notable co.
There almost has to be a Wikipedia page for such a thing.
Oh, certainly,
right?
certainly.
And not that I would ever suggest Wikipedia vandalism, little colonels, but you know what? If such a page exists, I think it needs an addition, if not a complete rewrite.
Most notable co of all time.
There you go.
Speaking of, I believe at the moment, if you've been a longtime pop listener, you know this was once a quest of ours, but it's been a hot second. But I believe that we have officially made it onto the Cave Spring High School notable alumni.
I'm gonna look it
page.
Up right now, and here's my fear, Ben, is that the very act of saying it aloud is going to
disrupt
because people will go check and they will try to edit it or add things, and when they edit it, new notifications will be sent to people to approve it, and when they try and reapprove it, all of a sudden it starts looking fishy.
It does.
Like now we're just there. I think right now we're there.
Well,
let me just see. Let me just see.
Let me know.
I'm gonna confirm. I'm gonna do a live confirmation as to whether or not we are on the Wikipedia page for Cave Spring High School under notable alumni, where we belong. At the moment, we're still there. Okay, so here, listen up, guys. Let me just pump your brakes real quick. We're there. We did it. Well done. Do not go edit it. Do not go change it.
Right. But for realsies though, because yes, this has been like a long time in the making. But it's sort of interesting. So we just spent the past week traveling down to Disney for what was probably one of the most unique and notable and memorable trips to Disney that we've had.
It was crazy.
Barring, of course, me getting married there.
Yeah, that was pretty good too. I remember that.
I don't think I can out notable that.
I doubt it.
As far as a trip to actual parks is concerned, though, like the interaction with the area, I think there's a lot to be said for that. But the thing was, so we were brought down by Disney, which was incredibly cool, but we were there with a group of otherwise very notable TikTokers.
Right, yes, the up-and-coming TikTokers.
I would say that these people are just full-blown there. I don't even know that up-and-coming is...
Well, sure. As long as TikTok has been around, they have been the, first wave, high-profile TikTokers. Yes. They're amongst that first wave of people.
Yes, yeah. So the interesting thing that I felt about many of the people there is that, this is one of those rare instances where you're sort of having that firsthand exchange with a lot of these different creators. And so you end up kind of following each other and kind of getting to know these people a little bit more. But you know what? I was noticing that so many of them have blue check marks.
Yeah.
Or their own Wikipedia pages and stuff.
Oh, do they?
And I'm like,
Wait a minute.
What is
Were you looking them up?
I was looking
And
everybody
they had
up.
Wikipedia pages?
Yeah.
What?
I know. And here I am thinking like, well, what does a kid gotta do?
Well.
It's like it's so funny because I feel like you can tell people like, you know, we have on the Super Carlin Brothers YouTube channel, we have over 500 million views.
Right.
And it's like that feels like such an astonishing amount.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know?
lot.
And like and beyond that, like we have maybe I would say not for a lack of creative quality, but maybe like because we have been doing it longer. I think that out of the group of people we were there with, that we are probably the people who it is most our sole career.
Oh, for sure. I mean, most of the entire group we were down there with, yeah, they had become big on TikTok since the pandemic started.
Right. So many of them, they have like exploded in the past 18 months or so.
Right.
But I would say most of these people have at least 2 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
But maybe had not quite reached that stage of comfort or confidence or, like build out understanding. And I don't even know how the TikTok Creator Fund works in terms of like how much you're making per view and stuff like that.
No idea.
But it seemed like most of them are still all working their day jobs, but then also do this as like a highly lucrative like side project.
Right.
But despite that, like they all seem to have reached that notable marked spot that has been like forever elusive for us. Like I don't know if like we need to just like star in something like in any capacity, like to where there's
you
like,
get a Wikipedia page.
to where you get a Wikipedia page,
Right.
like to
where
there's-
you've
there's-
really made it.
right. Yeah. But like, I mean, apparently like doing YouTube for a career is not quite enough to have reached that.
Apparently it's not notable enough.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Anyway, so that's just one of those things that I noticed as long as we were talking about,
Okay.
all of that.
What? Let me tell. So the trip to Disney was really cool, and it was really fun getting to meet all the different like other TikTok people we were down there with. What I thought was really interesting is that for as long as we've been doing it, if you tell someone, like if you meet someone in real life and tell them like what you do, or that you make videos online, or you're a YouTuber or whatever, it always sounds like the reaction is always the same. That like, what? No, what? Like that's crazy. Like it's still. And I think it's still true that it's a very new thing you could be doing professionally. However, on this particular trip, we were hands down the quote unquote old people. You know what I mean?
We were.
Like, not to say that we were like, there weren't even other people our age there, but you'd be talking with people and you're just like, oh yeah, when did you start? How long have you been doing it? Some people have been like on TikTok for a while, but then it really took off during the pandemic. Or some people, they've been dabbling here and there. And when we're like, they're like, oh, when did you guys get on? When did you start? We were like 2012. Like their reaction was like, what? It could not have been like more obvious that we had at least been doing the online thing much longer than anyone else there, which is a very weird feeling to feel like you were the more experienced set of people in any of these crowds.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. Like I think that there's so many different like avenues to kind of like look at this through, because whenever I'm around people like this, the thing that's very, very, very immediately surprising to me is like, these are all people who are just like oozing with talent.
Yeah.
Like they have like, there's so much that they have to offer to their craft that I'm always just like, why are we here? Like my
and this is you're talking like imposter syndrome.
Yes,
like,
my imposter syndrome like fires up in full like V8 diesel.
This
fashion.
is the secret of every creator at every con, though, is that everyone's looking around at everyone else and is positive that they're the least talented person in the room.
Right. Yeah. Yes, and I would even say that talking to many of these people, they all voiced a very familiar kind of sentiment to something that I know that I personally felt as YouTube was first taking off for us, which was that like it was very exciting. It was really cool. It was like, whoa, like we're gonna be able to do this full time. But then like as soon as you kind of like reached that point where any part where it wasn't extra, where it was like, now I'm relying on it. Like now the parachute outside of this is gone. Now it's not like the extra fun income. Now it is like, I need it.
Right.
You know, this is what pays like the mortgage and the bills
Yeah.
and all of that type of stuff. And I remember just thinking like constantly every single day, it was kind of like, well, this whole YouTube thing, like it's going to be gone. I mean, if it lasts 2 years, like I'll call it a win, you know, and not like, even then when I was referring to it, it was very much the case that I was referring to it as like the whole platform, like not even me just thinking like that our channel might like reach obscurity. It was more like, but like, couldn't this just be a fad? Like
YouTube at all.
Yeah. Like how are we to know that like this will be the new thing that persists, that is like a glacier moving through time? Like it is large, it is constant, it is slow, it is steady, you know. Kind of weird to compare YouTube to a glacier, but I feel like it works.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's gonna be here a while.
It's gonna be here for a while. So and I think that was really the big thing. And I think that talking to a lot of these people, there was that very similar sentiment of kind of like,
how do we know TikTok is gonna be around? Like you could do that. There was like a certain amount of concern that it was like that the platform was already had already peaked and was already
Right.
tapering off or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
And of course there's very famously like the precursor to TikTok, which is Vine.
Right.
Which I mean was this incredible like flash in a pan, wildly successful thing that launched so many modern creators today. Like you know them because of Vine, and now they're just out there being, you know, creating in other capacities. But so there was probably something very reassuring to the tune that all of these people who had these massive TikTok followings, primary like thought, objective, goal was to migrate to Instagram, to migrate to YouTube, to try to like, you know, bring their audiences like to these different like arenas that feel maybe a little more safe.
Yeah.
In on the whole. So I don't know where I was going with this other than the perspective shift was very interesting to kind of feel like you could advise, maybe not like from a creative standpoint, because there's, like I said, there's just no way, like these people are so creative.
Yeah.
But there is sort of the back end of it, like being able to speak from the experience of having been a creator on social media for a period of time.
Right.
Which on that note, can I ask this question? Because I feel like this is something that comes up constantly.
Fire away.
Is what do we call ourselves?
Oh, this question.
Like, because
yeah,
because I mean, like, it's like, are you I feel like people really migrate away from the word creator.
Creator feels like it's not a great word, but I think it's presently the best like catch-all.
Sure.
You know?
It's better than influencer by a mile.
It's better than, I hate the word influencer.
I think all creators hate the word influencer.
Right, and that's the word, but that is the word that like all the ad agencies use with the brands, because it sounds so much better. Like, these people are so influential, and it's like, that is not why I'm doing this. Stop. I'm not trying to like, no, what do you
yeah.
That's a bad, I don't like that. If it colors the whole everything in a very like negative way.
Right. Well, so, and I think that, like, again, if you're going to get like real meta with what's happening like behind the scenes with this industry as it grows, I think a lot of what has happened is there were some brands that just super early adopters of the idea of like, hey, this person, you know, like they're talking to 5 million people a month. Like,
yeah,
we can talk to them. But it definitely became something where I think people who are in advertising, people who are in marketing are going to conferences where at the conferences they're having discussions and meetings and like powwows, fireside chats about like why you need to get into influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really like what's pushing the term that much more.
Yeah.
Is that you're literally dealing with people who are standing in the educational environment on how to advise other marketers, other advertisers on how to like enter this world. It's almost like they're projecting it onto the people who then go out and look for the people who then they refer to as influencers.
Right.
Which then kind of like perpetuates this same thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think that's where the term comes from. I don't know if I have a better option. Like, the term, like for the longest time, I just said I was a YouTuber.
Sure.
Which, I mean, like that was like the platform I wanted to be on and the one that we were on, and like it is obviously like our main thing. But like YouTuber is not always the best word for like everyone, because some people might not be on there at all. Like their platform might be like Instagram or TikTok or something.
Yeah, or some version of multi-platform where you're on a little bit of everything.
Right, but without a doubt, you're all sort of in the same, like you're all still swimming in the same pool, more or less.
Sure.
Right. So like, there's got to be a better word though than just like creator or influencer.
We'll work on it.
We will work on it. Yeah. Should we just maybe we just need like a completely invented word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like spacklegroit.
Spacklegroit?
We are spacklegroits.
I think I'm gonna circle back on that one.
You don't like that? Spacklegroit?
I don't think that's quite catchy enough.
Well,
it sounds a little gross.
I think it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It reminds me of drywall.
Yeah,
which is
it reminds
good.
me of drywall and like fungus.
Yes. Maybe a fungus-based spackle compound for fixing drywall holes.
Right, spackle, because you're gonna that's to like fix holes, right?
Yeah,
on walls, and like fungus is like it's just like it's there, it's just sticking around. That's what that's the whole point. The influencers, the people making all the stuff, we're here to stay.
We're fixing holes, people.
We're fixing holes. We're here to stay. I think we need to workshop it a little bit.
No, all right, whatever.
Okay.
Something tells me people are gonna like spacklegroits.
Okay. You know what, Ben? You know what? Apparently, I'm gonna take a hard left turn here. Ready? Woo. Segue. Dab.
We were due.
Okay. We need to revisit a topic from last week.
Okay.
Because Ben, I have more things to say.
Okay. What's the topic?
Ready? Okay. So last week we talked about how vampires drink blood.
No, they have teeth straws.
Exactly. Teeth. And me and you were both under the very correct assumption that when they bite into someone's neck and they start sucking, the blood is coming directly up through their teeth, where they then ingest it. Because
we go back to it, but I mean, there's always the classic vampire bite like indicator on someone's neck is the two holes.
Right. It's a very neat, wound.
Right.
There's not like pools of blood lapping up all around those things. That is a clean wound, because vampires are a little dignified, They're
for sure.
Yeah,
they
have a good fashion sense.
They're kind of fancy.
Yeah, like they don't want to be getting blood on their tucks.
For some reason, I also imagine that they have like the napkin wrapped around their neck, like.
Well, no need. Maybe they do, but no need, because it comes directly into the teeth.
Exactly. Well, certainly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, people. We put this in. I went over to the Reddit to see if people had made a poll.
Yeah,
and they had.
Okay.
And how do vampires drink blood? And I will say, 1,300 people voted. I was like, whoa,
that is impressive.
It is an impressive poll. It feels like maybe it made some rounds around the Reddit a little bit.
Okay.
But let me just say, 728 people voted that vampires bite and then drink like complete slobs.
Okay.
And only 569 people said teeth straws. Which means the majority of people are in camp bite then slop.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't know Ben, what are people thinking?
That they're werewolves.
I mean, you guys know we're talking about vampires, right? Got long pointy teeth?
Yeah, otherwise what is the point of the teeth?
Yeah, and look, I was looking at some of the comments as well, and some people's arguments were like, no, it has to be if it was teeth, it would mean your whole body had to go through like some sort of anatomy change. And I was like, that's your problem. You're being transformed into a different creature already. Of course, like, why is that an issue?
Yeah, where's your suspension of disbelief?
Why are you okay? Yeah, you're okay believing that that vampires exist and that you transform into a vampire, but not that you get the teeth straws? Like, I don't understand. This to me, it is blowing my mind that that this isn't the way everyone has perceived vampires their entire life, because I've never considered once that vampires are just down there like blah, 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 sucking up the blood, making that noise, which is how it would have to be.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Imagine this is what people are thinking, that the vampire bite. Imagine the sound it makes when your dog is drinking water out of a toilet. That very loud, just like lapping sound.
Yeah,
that's what I'm imagining these people think vampires do, which is ridiculous. That's not how vampires drink blood. They bite your neck. They suck up the blood through the teeth. That's why the teeth have to be pointy.
No,
They have to get down in there.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that there's the signature bite pattern to
Yeah.
go off of.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason that you know it is because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like this is another one. I feel like the word teeth straws might be throwing people off. I'm imagining it's just very tiny holes. You know.
Okay. The other thing too is I mean, like they always like the classic vampire phrase is like, "I want to suck your blood."
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, through the teeth straws.
Exactly. They're biting and sucking. It's not, I want to bite and lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll sway people.
Maybe, Ben, we need to.
There can be nothing but good news available to us. Or have you watched the Twilight films? Read the Twilight films? Those are vampires, right?
Those are vampires, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that gives more of a clean visual, because that was a rather popular series.
Was rather popular. I know they go as far as to like drink blood through physical straws, like out of cups.
Oh, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, the point, yeah, I guess it just, as long as you get it down.
So they're super civilized.
Yeah, they're
to
they
the
got
point of
like
almost
that.
having
They've got
like
like donated blood, you know.
like fast food
Yeah,
blood locations.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
kind of gross.
It really is. It
Yeah,
really is.
blood in a cup.
Blood.
I know.
I mean-
Say it like that.
Right. Yeah. It's like Jack in the
Yeah.
Box. Blood in the cup.
Blood in a cup.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
move on. Beth was anti-teeth straws. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, Beth, you can't. No, you can't be in that camp.
You
You can't be. We're married.
not in this household.
We're teeth straw people.
Now you need one of those bumper stickers that says like "house divided." You know,
Yeah.
it's like normally it's because you like went to like rival colleges or something, but in this particular case, it's like we stand on different sides
Yeah.
of the
Of the
Vamp-
fictional way in which fictional creatures drink blood.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but this is like a hill people die on, as far as I know.
Yeah, most of the people being bitten by the vampires. Okay. Another update from the Reddit whilst I was over there. This one was fascinating.
Okay.
We talked before about how characters named Jonathan in TV shows are always like assistants, or in one example, a seagull.
It does seem like, honestly, it was very interesting because after we got off, I even went and looked it up because I was like, surely there's someone.
Yeah. Did you find anyone?
Well, the best one that I found was several people sent me John Wick from the series John Wick.
Yeah.
I believe that they said that he is at one point in time referred to as Jonathan.
Oh, so that's his full name.
It's his full name.
But even so, you see the problem. It's not like the movie's called Jonathan Wick.
It is not called Jonathan Wick.
Right.
It is in fact called John Wick.
Yeah.
And I would have been surprised to have discovered that it was, because this is the thing. I think a lot of people want to shorten you down to like JOHN as
Yeah.
if like that's the shortened version.
It's
But
not.
the shortened version of Jonathan to John is JON.
Correct.
I think. Yeah.
It absolutely is. And I would go as far as to say that if you're spelling Jonathan with two H's, you are actively spelling it wrong. It's not like an acceptable alternate spelling. It's like you've spelled the name completely wrong. Because, and this is the really weird thing, is that Jonathan is not a longer version of John. It's a longer version of Nathan. So if you're making, because that other H, the JOHN, would be coming from John, obviously not from Nathan.
I see.
So yeah, there you go. Fun fact: Jonathan, longer version of Nathan. So if you're putting JOHN and you're adding that completely unnecessary extra H in there, you've spelled it wrong. I'm sorry if your name is Jonathan and you're just learning this. But
Man, you have like you are having a particularly spicy hot take kind of afternoon.
spicy hot takes.
It feels like it. Yeah. I feel like you're fired up today.
Well, but
Is there other stuff that we can cover? Because it feels like today is the day to get
I didn't
stuff
finish
out.
telling you about Jonathan the Seagull.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about.
You found it hilarious last time, I recall, that there was a seagull named Jonathan. But
stand by it.
apparently the reason said seagull is named Jonathan Jonathan is because there is a famous series of short stories about Jonathan Livingston Seagull by American author Richard Bach, illustrated by Russell Munson. So I'll read you the short Wikipedia entry. It says, Jonathan Livingston Seagull is a fable in novella form about a seagull who is trying to learn about life and flight, and a homily about self-perfection. So the naming of the seagull in Puppy Dog Pals, Jonathan, is a nod to this series of short stories about Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
So is that a good thing?
I think it makes it cooler.
Okay.
This was on the bestseller list for like 37 weeks or something.
Well, I see.
Cool.
So it's precisely 37 weeks.
Yeah. Just something, I don't know, I didn't read the whole article.
Breeze through it.
Breeze through it.
Just gave it a quick once over. Yeah,
it actually sounded like a book that would be, or a series of novellas that would be of interest to you, because the seagull is like really trying to focus on like a lot of like self-improvement, and flies high above other seagulls as like a very unique bird, because he cares about learning how to fly the best as opposed to just flying as something he does, and eventually meets these other birds that show him like a different plane of existence, where he basically flies up into heaven, I guess. I don't know. It got really existential there for a second.
It sounds like it.
The Adventures of Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
You know what? I'm gonna have to look into it.
All right,
gonna have to, because you know how I love a good existential.
Yeah,
crisis.
I know you do. So yeah, that's why if you're watching Puppy Dog Pals and you're like, I wonder why they landed on Jonathan. That's why. Great name for a seagull.
Oh man. Okay, Jay, how about a corny joke?
Oh, fire away. Is this like mid-episode corny joke now?
Mid-episode corny joke. You never know when they're going to strike.
Element of surprise.
The element of surprise. Although sometimes I like to think that they strike when there's a lull.
A lull?
Yeah. It's like, you know what? There's nothing to say.
Yeah.
So how about a corny joke?
How about a corny joke?
It's a great way to fill in some time. Okay, so this joke is going to come from Nora A, who says, "Why do sharks live in salt water?"
Oh, so this is going to be something about like seasoning food or something. Why do sharks be like pepper water or something?
Ooh,
Are we getting close?
You're getting close.
Pepper water makes them sneeze or something.
Yes!
What is that?
That's it.
That's it.
Yes.
No way.
The pepper water, I like it because people typically they're gonna be like salt water instead of fresh water, but no, instead it's the salt versus the pepper. Like those are the two available options.
Yes. Yeah. Pepper water.
Pepper water. Like, here we go.
Sounds so terrible.
There's a pepper water sea over there.
This is so peppery. A smack of pepper to it.
Oh man, yeah. So that was I don't know. I thought that was fun.
That is fun.
Very very whimsical.
Yeah.
I
like that. I just while we were at Disney World, I picked up some. We were walking around the whole trip. I was trying to find like really good souvenirs for everyone like back home.
Yeah.
Harder than anticipated.
Let me come on in that real quick, because I feel like when we were kids, this was something that like I don't know that our parents ever told us that this was going to be a thing, nor like did I even know to expect it. But our parents, I think we've talked about before, used to go and run like destination marathons a lot when we were kids. So they would, go to any far-flung place, in the country or wherever. Abroad. And I feel like the very first time they ever came back, they came back with like a bag full of just what to me at the time felt like the coolest, most unique things imaginable.
Right.
Like trinkets and such.
Right.
Like
souvenirs.
Oddities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was always like, I mean, it became something that I like super looked forward to. It was like when they were going on a trip, it meant like when they came back, they were gonna have something for us, which was like really neat.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I always remember, they brought us back. They went to Arizona and they came back and they got us each a cactus.
Yeah.
And the older I've gotten, the more that I've wondered about these cactuses.
Yeah.
I've wondered like, did you buy these in Arizona, or like they almost also felt like the type of thing, because I can't imagine flying with 3 cactuses.
That is, you have to consider how'd they get them back. That means, they were flying on a plane with cactuses in their suitcase
Yeah.
or in some other capacity.
Right.
Because if you're just holding them, it's dangerous because they're cactuses.
Because they're cactuses, and they're also reasonably delicate. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're like in a small pot, which,
Yeah.
you know, can't be like tipped over or anything. So yeah, I've thought back to these cactuses, and I'm like, what were you guys doing? Because the other thing about coming home from our trip to Disney was that like I had to sit on my suitcase to zipper it shut.
Right.
And I'm like, how light were you guys packing that there was room for cactuses?
For 3 cactuses.
For 3 cactuses.
For 3 cactuses. I want to say of different species because like each person had their own kind of cactus.
We did.
Yeah.
And I remember it was also like one of these things where they like a cactus is kind of like a really odd sort of plant to have because of the infrequency at which you need to like
water it
to water them.
Yeah, and even when you do, it's not very much.
It's not very much, and I also don't think that they ever grew ever at all.
Well, yeah, were they supposed to grow?
I feel like they could have grown.
Okay.
I think that cactuses just grow slowly,
Yeah.
maybe.
I don't know. I don't know much about cactuses.
I think in my mind, eventually we were going to have like hedge-sized cactuses.
Oh.
You know, even though they
Just
started
even out of little tiny pots.
these little tiny pots. I
Yeah.
thought, but I mean, sometimes succulents get unexpectedly large.
That's true.
You know, so but
true.
these were not such.
No. Do you? I'm imagining. I'm remembering a particular kind of cactus. I feel like I used to see all the time. It was just like a big, like almost like a leaf with just tiny little, not even like sharp bobs, just like tiny little.
Well, so I think I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, because we had at the street that we grew up on was called Spring Street,
Right.
And it was a hill.
Yeah.
And I used to like to like rollerblade up to the top of the hill and then just like book it down.
Right.
You know, I would get to the top of the hill and then just basically like, go full speed ahead as fast
Yeah.
as I could. But as I was learning in the beginning, I wasn't very good at stopping. And so sometimes I had to like careen, you know, to like one side or the other to like
Yeah.
land in somebody's, front yard. And one of the people on the street, their front garden wall thing was just covered in cactuses.
Wow.
Which I did not know until I ran into them on my rollerblades.
Wow.
Just like full blown, like ran into a cactus patch.
But not like the kind of cactus you're thinking of where it's like tons of really long, sharp needles.
No, they were, yeah, you're right. I mean, they were more like 4-leaf clover shaped leaves.
Yeah, like large leaves with like sporadic
spiky
spikes.
But it didn't mean I didn't get a whole bunch of barbs in my hands.
You did?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
still dangerous.
Still dangerous.
Well,
Still not fun.
I wonder if cactuses were just like more trendy. Because I remember maybe it was that particular cactus patch and we just walked past it a lot. And I was like, oh, everyone has cactuses. But I feel like I remember.
What's up with that?
I feel like I remember seeing cactuses a lot more in Southwest Virginia than I do now.
Yeah.
I don't know if something has changed in the collective conscience in the air.
This is like one of those weird things where I do think that there is the extreme distinct possibility. Like I think very frequently like we'll look back at childhood photos of us and like being in these like color block sweater outfits, you know, top and bottom and stuff, and them being maybe like not like aging that well,
right?
And you're like, Mom and Dad, like, why were we in this outfit?
What's happening here?
What's the deal here? And it's like those were in then, you know, and it's so funny too because I even remember like growing up, Dad had like his like work around the house shorts, which were like shorter shorts, and I think we talked about this before. But then like baggy shorts became in, and all of a sudden it was like, Dad, why are you wearing like short shorts, man?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What's up with that?
Embarrassing.
But it's odd because as time goes on, you are just going to live through certain fads.
Yeah.
You're going to live through certain trends. And so it's curious to me, like, especially like as we were just wrapping up the renovation, like on our kitchen, because it did occur to me that like, as we were finishing it, I'm like, well, this is it. Like, this is the kitchen now. But if I continue to live in that house for the rest of my life, like 25 years from now, I would need to probably renovate the kitchen again.
Right, because you'd have stopped being trendy.
Because it would have stopped being trendy at some point in time, and you would want to like bring it back up to, you know, like, yeah, the kitchen's a little dated. You know, we redid it back in 2020.
Right.
You know, and it would be like this. I don't know. Like it's so hard for me to wrap my head around that because it's brand new right now.
Okay. Long-term prediction. Are you ready? Is that specifically because you happen to do it in 2020, you will end up falling into a category of home renovations that was like a pandemic-ovation or whatever.
Oh yeah,
yeah, pandemivation, whatever. I'm trying to think of a fun word on the spot, but like a pandemic renovation.
Yeah. Well, because it was a very common thing for people, like they were sitting inside their houses being like, you know what, we're due for a change.
Right, exactly. So lots of people started doing home projects, but predictably then, whatever styles are popular to do renovations for right now will have done many, many, many more than would otherwise be regular for the year 2020.
True.
Like whatever is a popular renovation style right now just happened way more than usual.
Correct.
Because of this. So I would bet that in the future, that'll be something you can like spot. Like what year was this renovated? 2020. Not surprised.
That's what I can tell
because they're all the same. Everyone, and it's going to be like a particular style that I think could like, because it's going to be so like pervasive, I think it could be like a thing that comes back.
Right. That's very true. I could definitely see that. But one of the big things that I saw, especially through like TikTok, was people going through and taking like a single wall and taping it like with all these different like geometric shapes.
Oh yeah.
And then like painting the colors and stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be a thing.
That's gonna be a thing. There's just gonna be. I bet there's just gonna be tons of those.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, what did this person? What did they do? What were they thinking?
You know,
it's like what they were thinking is they were stuck inside.
Yeah. Super bored.
Yeah.
But I think sponge painting. Do you remember sponge painting?
I do remember sponge painting.
Yeah,
Add that like texture to the wall.
Yeah. So it was like instead of using a paintbrush, you would literally go and get like a almost like a sea sponge looking thing.
Yeah.
Dip it in your tray and you just like blop 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 blop.
Until you covered the whole wall.
Covered the whole wall.
Yep.
It took forever.
Or wallpaper. Is another one.
Although I think wallpaper is coming back.
It's coming back in, or sometimes there'll be like a single wallpaper accent wall or something.
Yeah, true. This is something like I've been working on the nursery for the baby a fair bit, and this has definitely been one of those things where for one, I've been obsessed with it. Like I've been having like so much fun going through and like
getting it set up,
getting it prepared, and like actually being able to like put some energy into like my anticipation for the baby, because there's if there's one thing to be said, I mean, other than being as helpful as I possibly can towards Alice, there's not a lot that I'm able to do until she's here. So it's just like, as attentive as I can possibly be, and then also now I can finally start doing nursery prep, which has been really, really, really awesome. But so for starters, the first day that I did it, I very unnecessarily pulled out like my paint spray gun to paint the entire room, which the room is about the size of our entire popcorn culture set. Like it is a very small room. I think it's like 8 by 12.
Okay.
And so typically if you were going to like paint spray something, you'd be prepping to paint spray like the side of your house.
Right. Yeah.
The
so
whole
huge.
House. Yeah. Like massive scale. And so like I went through and I like taped everything and I like plasticed off the windows, and I got in there with my paint sprayer, and it was just like, it was comical how quickly it was just done. It was like well.
Oh, so you did paint spray it though?
I did paint spray.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Do you know, speaking of this, I remember back at our old house on Spring Street do you ever remember Dad just being up on the ladder painting the side of the house with a paintbrush?
With a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I cannot imagine
painting a house with a paintbrush.
Painting a house with a paintbrush. Was he just like touching up particularly bad spots?
No, I think he painted the house with
the
paintbrush.
whole house with a paintbrush.
Yeah, I don't know how he was after that, but
yeah, okay.
He got it done.
Yeah. Well, good for him. Good job, Dad.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's been like the other thing too. So as I've been like trying to like pick things out for the nursery, there is the extreme awareness of the fact that these are things that are definitely trendy. Like there are like nursery trends that are like in and out and in and out, and it's like trying to like figure out like what is going to be like a good way to like do this, what will be fun, like what can she grow into, answering all these questions. But I feel like I have just gone full blown lean into it. So I have been going on like Etsy and ordering like just everything.
Yeah.
Like any and everything I can think of. I got like her name like in like CNC carved out wood.
Nice.
That's gonna go like above the
excellent
crib where her name's.
The great news is that you can be at like just about as trendy as you want with the nursery, because they just won't be babies that long.
That's true.
like it only exists for such a short amount of time.
So do you think that as the boys get older, will you give them the freedom, or like if they came to you and they're like, I want to paint my room pink?
Oh.
Like, would you let them
No.
paint? No.
No.
What about blue?
I mean,
Is it
you
pink
went
because
for
I went for like the farthest reaching.
yeah, not pink because it's not like masculine or something like that. Not pink because that would be hideous.
Well, okay, yeah.
If they chose like a nice pleasing color, and I could see, I would be open to like letting them to changing the color of the room.
Okay.
If they were like really, if they wanted it, maybe if it was like an accent wall or something,
Sure.
I could be down. Be a good way to teach them how to paint, get them doing some work.
Get them doing some work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
This is the kind of thing though, like you have to have opportunities like when they're young to like let them learn how to do stuff. Like I was just thinking about this past weekend. We were at the lake for Smith Mountain Lake, and we were going out on the boat for the first time. We had like Luke out there, and it was like, it occurred to me like, Luke can stay on the dock. We were going to go out tubing, and I was like, I can bring him on the boat and like let him watch, or even like offer to let him like go in the tube. We'll just pull the boat real slow, let him have it, or he could just stay on the dock. It's like, this is like one of those times where like as a kid, like I have the opportunity to let him be exposed to a thing.
Right.
Because it's very possible you just like grow up and you never went to a lake and you never rode on a tube. And it's just like, what is this? I don't understand. This is, which is hard for me to even imagine.
Right.
But I think the earlier you can get, kids exposed just to like lots of different things, it's just like the more open-minded and larger their skill set for the rest of their life will be.
Yeah. So like with that, so for example, because I remember, and I think I've even told the story on the pop, like the very first time I ever got behind a boat and went water skiing.
Yeah.
I remember like the fear of God was inside of me.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think even you were doing it and you seemed like completely at peace with it. You were excited to do it. And I was like terrified for you because like I was convinced, I'm like, oh my God, this is like this big machine that's dragging my brother through the water right now. And like, what happens if he falls? Like, what if we lose him out here? Like my mind went to like such like drastic, not a problem measures when it comes to like now like operating the boat myself. It's like I would never lose the person who like dropped off behind me because you're not that far away.
Right. You got like 6 other people on the boat staring back at the person.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot that's going into like making sure that person isn't left behind or something.
Yeah.
But as a kid, it definitely felt like much more of a thing. So I remember like mom basically telling me that if I tried to water ski, that she would buy me 10 Reese's cups.
Wow.
From Wags.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was like the local like store.
Yeah.
that you
The
could
general
go-
store.
The general store you could go into. And so I was curious about this past weekend because we had Luke out there. We had the tube going. We had the boat going. Same boat, by the way.
Same boat.
As when we were kids.
Old boat.
Yeah. And I was like, I wonder what it will be like for him to see this. Like, I wonder what it will be for him to like watch us get in the tube and just scoot around back there.
Yeah.
Like, will he be like excited? Will he want to do it? Like, what is his reaction going to be?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I offered to let him get in the tube and to go in with him. No, I wouldn't let him go by himself. Let's be clear.
Sure.
Yeah. I offered to ride in the tube with him very slowly, which he was not interested in, but that was okay. I really just wanted him to be in the boat and to see that there were people having fun doing this thing so that it could like be something he was familiar with and could be excited about later.
For a future occasion.
That was my goal.
Okay.
So I think hopefully we accomplished that. That's at least what happened.
Yeah. One step closer.
Yeah. Like if this is just a thing everyone in the family does, then one day I think he'll want to do it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my goal.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we get into water skiing.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Move it on up.
Baby steps.
Right.
Get in there. I think I can connect some dots here.
Okay.
Based on stuff I had in the notes. So you were talking about being trendy and your baby's room. Last episode we were talking about how whether or not despite I think anyone's best efforts, they can't help but sometimes be like trendy. Like you said you were specifically trying to choose a baby name that was not in the top 50.
Right.
But my guess is that you can't avoid it.
Sure. Yes.
That like almost no matter what, 50 years from now, it'll turn out your baby name is amongst the top 50.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea here being basically just that through social interactions, through media, through a whole bunch of things like that you just consume like by osmosis, like you're not like intentionally basing this choice off of like, oh, I really love this character, so I'm going to name them that character because I love that character, or anything like that. This is just sort of like it is out there. It is like peripherally popular,
right?
And all of that data made its way to you, and you like absorbed it. And then part of why you like the name is because it's like it's hitting all of these extremely abstract bells that are just out there, and you're
right.
Like, oh,
but
yeah.
it's happening to lots of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. I think the like naming after a popular character is a great example because like I would also bet that like 50 years from now there's just a way more Daenerys out there than is like otherwise likely to ever happen again, just because Game of Thrones was hyper popular for like a couple years and people named or like Daenerys or Khaleesi or something.
Oh, I'd be so curious because one of the things I've been surprised about is that the name Hermione is not more popular.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously from Harry Potter, but like that was one of those where I didn't even know how to pronounce it when I was reading it as a kid because
Right.
I had never seen the name before. I thought it was just like a made up name.
Right.
But as I've gotten older, I think I've only interacted with one Hermione ever.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's more than me.
So I'd be curious if anybody out there, or do you have like are you named Hermione? Do you have a family member?
Or maybe that whole generation is just like that many years behind us.
It also could be.
Like
Very
if
well
we
could
were
be.
all, 12 reading the first book, then everyone grew up and now all those people are like 10-year-olds now or something.
Are we just getting to the point where the Hermiones will strike?
Yeah, are starting to like infiltrate the population.
Interesting.
Who's to say? I guess we'll see. We'll know. We'll know soon enough.
We'll know soon enough.
But so, like, yeah, if you had like a specific, it'd be very obvious, like, why all of a sudden there was a spike in the name Khaleesi.
Yes, you'd be able to point to exactly that thing.
Right. But I think, yeah, weirdly with like other baby names, it's like people are actively trying to not choose from like a certain list, but like they all end up landing on similar names anyway,
right,
and create like a new most popular list like together.
Yes.
Like involuntarily. So what I think is that right there though fascinates me to no end, that there's like you can see the direct causes of like certain like trends, like, oh, like if, like fashion or something, like everyone might start dressing a certain way because it's like, this is what, it's like high fashion, just like filtering its way down from the top.
Sure.
Or something like that. It's like you can tie it to specific trends and stuff, but there's other things that feel like there's just enough other things happening in the world that it leads people into a certain trend. And like I was talking to you about this beforehand, and like I recently was just trying to pick out some card sleeves for my Pokemon cards.
Oh yeah,
from my deck, so I could like interchange decks without having to like change a bunch of sleeves around. I have a bunch of standing decks. You just switch the cards out.
Pro tip. Yeah.
Anyway, and so I wanted to have all the exact same sleeve for like as many as 5 or 6 different decks, which is important decision on what's that color going to be.
Right.
Because that's going to be like if you're showing up week after week somewhere, it's going to be like your signature color almost.
Right.
Right. So,
like with so many other things, it's almost like when we've bought like our snowboards and skis and stuff like that, like the color of the things that you are strapped to dictate the rest of your outfit.
Yeah.
So it's like if it's got green in there, then almost the rest of your outfit's going to be green.
Right.
And you're always going to wear the same green outfit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, I was going through all like what is the best kind of sleeve you can get, what's the best brand. It basically came down to 2 different brands, and we were going through them, and the particular color that stood out to me, and I can hold it up so people can see on the pop. It's not going to be very obvious from where we're sitting or anything, but it's like I would describe it as like a dark pink. Did you say?
Yeah, I would say dark pink. Is a fair. It's definitely not hot pink.
Not hot pink.
It's
not
not
like highlighter pink.
It's not light pink.
No, not like light. Not like pastel, but kind of like a. Is it weird? It's like a bright dark pink. That's what I'm going to go with. It's kind of like maybe a fuchsia. I don't know.
Maybe mauve.
Anyway, you maybe don't need to see it exactly because my point is that all of a sudden I feel like I have noticed this particular color being very trendy. Like I feel like I keep seeing it everywhere, and I'm not sure if like I specifically tuned into it. That's what like I initially thought was that, oh, this is just a color I'm like really liking right now. But I feel like we just saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings last night.
Yep.
And they go to this, spoilers, they go to this like mythical village or whatever, and all the people eventually in that village go to like fight in some big battle for the end of the movie, and all of their battle armor is this exact color. And I was like, what? Like, that's not just me. This is a huge, massive pop culture movie.
Sure.
Like this, I don't, and it's like, I don't know what about a color could make it like, what makes a color really trendy? You know, it just seems like such an abstract thought. Like, what is happening in the world that is making a specific color very popular? I know
it's super interesting because I go back to like, when I was in college, I became like really infatuated with a combination of two colors, which was gray and green.
Okay.
I always liked having gray and green tied together for some reason. And so it sort of became this thing like that was like a very, like I said, I gave the example of like the snowboard. My snowboard was gray and green. My entire outfit was gray and green.
Yeah.
Like so many of like my favorite, you know, like t-shirts and stuff. If I were to go to the mall, gray and green. And so it was like, not only was it like this color combo that I felt like I was choosing on my own, but also it was everywhere. Like it was very easy to like get my fix for this because anywhere I went, they had like a North Face jacket that was featuring these colors.
Right.
And so I kept picking it up everywhere and everywhere. And I thought the same thing at that point in time too. It was like, do I like gray and green, or is gray and green just really popular right now? And I was thinking about it kind of interestingly related to the pop is that like we talked about you drinking like Monster energy drinks.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Monster, similar to Red Bull, became like a huge like outdoor adventure sports like sponsor.
Yeah.
And so I almost wonder if like what was happening was because you had this giant green M that was like going on so much stuff that it just popped against like this charcoal gray color.
Right.
So like, was it literally the case that like the rise of Monster energy drink was directly influencing what I perceive to be my favorite color?
Could be.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
But what is the thing that's causing?
Yeah. Like what is happening? Like what? Yeah. It's like, it's so weird because it, and I could be totally wrong. I just feel like I keep seeing this color all over the place in like clothing and like accessories on the big screen
right
now. And it's like a very prominent, you know, it's like an army is this color.
Right.
And I was just like, what would make, what is happening across everyone's lives that is leading so many people to think this is a really cool color right now? And it's like, it is a bit unusual. Like it's not like a really common color. It's it is like a very particular shade of pink.
Sure.
You know, but it's like, it's just fascinating to me that there's this like unspoken collective social consciousness that like everyone sort of like feeds into like unwittingly.
Right.
You know,
right.
I wish I had other like, I started noticing once upon a time that like, I feel like I started people doing like the chef's kiss, the like mwah thing.
Right.
Like all of a sudden. And like, I brought that up with Jordan one day and she like looked it up, and sure enough, like if you just looked at Google Trends for chef's kiss, like its use all of a sudden in like the last 3 years goes from like this very steady plateau at the bottom to like this enormous spike. And it's just like, why did suddenly chef's kiss just come back?
Like why was this all of a sudden?
Yeah, what led to it? And maybe there's like a specific catalyst I'm unaware of. But like certainly it was obvious enough that I like picked up on it.
Sure.
Like the change in the air.
Yeah. Like the recognition that like all of a sudden this thing has come to be.
I'm just noticing it. Yeah. So I don't know. I would love to like, if anyone has any interesting like studies or stories about like a collective consciousness between all people, I would love to know about that.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to me to see like what is going about dictating these types of things, because is it the type of thing where it's like you're like, this is like marketing or capitalism or something like that just being like just like a force, and it's like, haha, like we have now entered center stage,
right?
Or does anybody have control over this? Is
yeah,
it like the mood of the world is shifting?
Exactly. Is this like the result of like the mood of the world, and this is the color? Like, you know, maybe there's like a direct influence. Like I can see if there was like a really, really popular social cause or something, and it like chose this color as its thing. Like, you know, like if you watch the NFL, like once, like every October, everyone's wearing this, like the breast cancer pink.
Right.
You know, and it's like, I know exactly what that is, and you can see it trickle out into other things. But like, I don't know what's causing this, or if like, yeah, if you have like a hyper popular character and they had like a signature blue or something, I can see like all of a sudden lots of stuff is that color blue because that character popularized it or something.
Right.
But I don't know what the cause is.
Yeah. Well, okay. So in a similar note, like one of the things I was just thinking about was like, it seemed like we went through, and we're maybe still a little bit in this era of there being like super gritty, like superhero movies.
Oh yeah, right.
So especially like the Nolan Batman series.
I feel like that was the kickoff.
The kickoff for it. Yeah. But so that series would have been coming out, and I'd be interested to know when Batman Begins came out. But like you're sort of in this like post 9/11, right around like the housing market crash, 2007. Like
yeah, I think it was like 2004 or 5 when Batman Begins came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I guess like what I would almost toss out there is was there something about that grittiness that like resonated with audiences? Because during this period of time, basically what you have going on is maybe like a sense of darkness, maybe a sense like foreboding. And like there was something about it that was very like cathartic to see it like on the big screen.
Right.
Like to see that like almost mood reflected back at you.
Right. To see like a world where like, oh, that mood is being reflected back, and in this world there's a superhero who can like make it all better.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So like to almost, or possibly even like take what we perceive like as darkness like a little bit further, like situation that like is worse.
Yeah.
So by comparison, it's like, okay, like out here in the real world, things are still colorful.
Yeah.
Like it's not like in the movie, which was so dark. And then I'd be curious as well, like from a directing standpoint, from a lighting standpoint, from, you know, like whatever creatives are involved with these types of decisions, is it playing into their decision making as to like why. Like, are they doing that intentionally? Are they doing that on purpose? Or are they also being impacted by exactly the same thing? Like, they're existing in a world that feels dark right now, that feels heavy, that, you know, whatever the case may be. And
I would think that is a certain level of, like, artistic recognition about the world around you.
Okay.
Like, that would be my thought. Like, I don't think it was just like, I think I'm going to make a dark and gritty Batman, and then all of a sudden it turns out like, wow, that was so lucky.
Right.
Like it just so happens to have struck a chord with people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. But then it definitely seemed to be the case that once people recognized that, they then leaned in.
Oh, for sure. I feel like if the modern day dark and gritty superhero show is still just trying to mimic the Dark Knight trilogy.
Okay.
That's always my interpretation.
Right.
Like when you see like all like the you know, Man of Steel, it's like, yeah, this is just you trying to make Superman like Batman Begins. And it's not, it doesn't have to be.
Right.
You just have, Superman could be happy, you know,
right.
It could be okay.
Well, I go back to, I think a couple weeks ago, we talked about our very first movie theater experience. And I don't know if this was my first ever movie theater experience, but I know that it was like an early one, was going and seeing like the George Clooney Batman.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I feel like seeing that movie in theaters is like, even going back to that movie, it's like, it's got like, I don't know. I mean, it's goofy for sure.
It is. It's one of those movies that like, it has not aged really well in people's minds.
Yeah.
Like it is constantly made fun of, and like, but I remember as a kid walking out of that movie being like, that was amazing.
Oh, I know. Yeah. There was so much about it. Like, isn't there like an ice hockey scene in the middle of it?
There is a scene, yes, where Mr. Freeze freezes a museum, and he has a bunch of henchmen in there, and Batman and Robin are on their backs, and they click their heels together, and ice skates come out of the bottom of their shoes, and they're just like, let's go.
Because why not?
Because why not? Of course we have just ice skates built in. This was probably going to happen eventually.
I mean, we needed to be prepared for everything.
Which I know, which means the other 99% of the time they're walking around with metal blades in the soles of their feet. It's like, how uncomfortable must that be?
Oh, must be.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Metal soles.
Yeah.
Not ergonomic whatsoever.
Not ergonomic, which is probably important fighting crime.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. So that's interesting.
Got to be out there late nights and stuff. Ooh,
right.
You got to be comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. So Jay, how about as we kind of like work our way towards the end of the episode?
Yeah.
How about this week's picks?
This week's picks?
Yeah. What do you have for us?
All right. Well, this week's picks are influenced by our most recent weekend at the lake, where they have this really cool like movie theater room. Yeah. Which, by the way, bucket list, or at least the thing I want after I do slide, theater room.
Yeah.
I don't know, but well, I say that right now. The only viable room in my house, I think, would be just my basement room at the moment, which I feel like I don't know. It's the playroom, and I think it will be the playroom for a long time.
Sure.
So unless I can find a way to convert a different room into the theater room,
I feel like you could connect where your office is to the adjoining room, which is currently a storage room. Take that wall down.
Take that wall right out.
Nice big long room.
Nice big long room.
And then you could have your very own theater room.
The storage room itself could probably just be the theater room, even without knocking down the wall.
Well, that's reasonable.
Possibly. That would be fantastic. Anyway, that's something I want in my home eventually, because this room was awesome, and I loved it, and I've always thought home theaters were really cool and get a nice big projector. Anyway, Luke also thought it was cool, and it was a good place to just go sit and relax and just like get away from all of the noise and just have everyone be calm for a few minutes.
That is so funny because as I was the only one there who was not a parent during this particular trip, and I did not go into the theater room at all.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So.
Well, I can tell you that me and Ty and Beth and all the kiddos were down there at different points throughout the weekend, and the show that we were watching that I was enjoying the most is a show called Bluey.
Okay.
It is a kids show for sure. It's on Disney Junior, but it is hands down my favorite show Luke watches from an enjoyment, from a parental enjoyment standpoint.
Okay.
It is hilarious. Like I mean, I was laughing out loud watching it. I don't think that most of the jokes just go over like Luke said or whatever. I was just cracking up because it's so funny sometimes. If you are a parent and you haven't discovered Bluey, it's on Disney Plus. It's about a family of dogs, and Bluey is the older daughter, I guess. But it is so funny. It's mostly just her and her sister playing imagination with mostly their parents, and their dad in particular is hilarious. It's an Australian cartoon. Everyone has Australian accents, which makes it that much better. And I would recommend it. It's very funny.
It sounds like anybody could enjoy that.
I think anyone could, even if you don't have kids. Just pop on Bluey. Just see.
Right,
You'll enjoy it.
There you go. Maybe like watch it before you have kids, and then once they get older, you can like explain the lore to them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Deep lore in Bluey.
It's like a weirdly self-aware show sometimes. Like the show, like Bluey will always announce the name of the episode like after a minute it has played. Like they have like a little cold open, and then she'll be like, "This episode is called Hairdresser" or whatever. But then like 2 minutes later into the episode, she'll be playing Hairdresser with her dad, and she'll be like, "You've got knits," which I guess is fleas in Australia. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
And then they cut back to the title screen, and she'll be like, "This episode is now called Knits."
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the self-aware humor there, Bluey.
Yeah.
I wonder what the educational opportunities there are for like breaking that fourth wall for kids so early.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like maybe getting more into the mindset of like this has been created. It's not like I'm not escaping. I'm like understanding it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so for my pick of the week, so we've got Ted Lasso back, which has been amazing.
The best.
Yeah, so I've been super enjoying season 2 of that. But the other movie that I watched recently, I think I may have brought it up on the pop once before, but it is called It's a Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood, and it's like the story of like the real world, like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Inventor of Daniel Tiger, another great kids show.
There you go. I'm going to see the world in such a new lens here in
Yeah.
a couple of years.
Yeah.
But This movie, I would say, I would absolutely recommend watching if you like Ted Lasso, because it is fascinating to me how similar Mr. Rogers, the real world person, was to like a kind of Ted Lasso type of personality. Just like very positive, very happy, very like wanting to to give his full attention to every person that he talked to.
You know what I really appreciate about the Ted Lasso TV show is the little intro where Ted is like sitting down in the bleachers.
Yes,
and like as he sits down, like a bunch of the seats change from blue to red and they eventually spell out Ted Lasso.
Right.
Yeah. I freaking love it because all the seats have like graffiti on them and they've been like vandalized or damaged in some way.
Sure.
But then every seat that Ted touches that turns red is clean. It's like, oh, I get it. Like he takes like one seat in the stadium and like he doesn't reach every seat in the stadium, but every seat he does touch becomes clean and it's just like a little bit better.
Oh, I love that.
I know. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Because he makes the lives of everybody else around him better, even though he's using his positivity as a coping mechanism.
It's just like one person. It's like the difference one person can make. And then and then it spells his name, of course, which is the rest of the metaphor. But
of course, yeah. There's so much to aspire to, though. Like to be that person, like in the people around you's life that can be like just continuously making it more positive. Like your impact, what you're leaving on the people around you is positive.
Right.
It's helping them.
Right. It's maybe like a little intangible, but yeah.
I love it.
Fostering a really positive environment.
There we go.
There you go.
All right,
Great
guys. There we go. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. If you would like to support us on Patreon, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/popcornculture. We are also on Reddit and Twitter, or you can email me by shooting an email over to popcornculturepod@gmail.com. I do read the emails, I promise you. We get just a good medley of them through, but I try to respond to as many of them as I can, but I love all of the feedback always. Also, last bit before we finally sign off, we have a review. We have to hit the reviews.
Let's do it. Let's hear the review.
Leaving a review is one of the best ways to help support the pop if you haven't already. We do super appreciate it. And if you leave something super fun and witty, then maybe we'll read it here in our final segment of the episode. This week's review of the pop comes from Jen Ann Creates. The title of it says, "This is my brain on pop. Popcorn culture feels like someone put a mirror up to my brain. Pop culture segueing into deep thoughts, jettisoning over to corny jokes, all with the cadence of a campfire conversation with friends, mixed with my attempts to retell a dream upon awakening."
That sounds about right.
That is pretty spot on.
There you go.
We are random.
Sometimes. If you would like to leave a review, I think these are all from Apple Podcasts. That's where it's happening.
That is where the majority of them have existed, but anywhere is helpful.
Yeah. So all you have to do is you just open it up and go to the pop. It'll ask you if you want to leave a 5-star review. Obviously do, and then just type in a review. And then
there you go. Thank you so much, guys. Until next week.
Pop.